Welcome.
For those of you who are in, let me give you a real one. Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show live stream. We are back. We've got some wild, weird stuff going on in the NBA on those injury reports, as we normally do. So I'm going to go through what I have here for you guys already. Placed 3 bets now, looking at the 4th, but I need to know who's playing. We know Luka's out now. That's at least good to go. We don't know if Jaylen Brown is in yet. We don't know if the Clippers guys are going to be in. Kawhi and James Harden both on the questionable list there. So a lot of that's going to impact what I do in that Clippers and Bulls game for sure. Like I said, I'm going to run through what I have here. 3 bets that I definitely placed already and still waiting on 1 bet because of that injury report in the Clips and the Bulls. But let's go through those 3 real quick. I'll probably go through them again, and then we'll go through some of these bets that you guys have. And I'm going to take a closer look at one of the couple, well, 3 leans, really, couple 3 that I have that I'm trying to get down, but I don't know what to do with these injury reports. You know what I mean? So we got to figure out what that's at. Yeah, I appreciate you, Mr. PR Hero, if I'm saying that right. MPR Hero. Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Let's get into a couple stuff. Yeah, Bob knows that Jaylen Brown is going to be the $1 million question, but like really also Kawhi. Those are 2 $1 million questions that we have. What up, Mike Marker? Let me look at those things that I do have placed. If you guys did see the video that came out last night with looking at these player props, going into a couple of things in terms of like how I would be playing them and some bets that I did put in last night. I can't get away from Tyrese Maxey. I told you guys that, and it's still the case for me. I have a bet in on him for half a unit to get his points because I didn't know if it was going to go up or not. It feels like a potential ladder play. The thing that I'm going to look at with you guys in a minute is his 3-point prop. Because more than anything, I hate the way that it happened last night. It was -2.5 for like -160 was the best juice that you could get on this Tyrese Maxey 3s prop. But you can get his points still at 26.5. So do with that what you will. It's high, right? Like I know that's pretty high. And that isn't something that everybody feels comfortable betting. In a game against Milwaukee that I think Milwaukee is ripe for that bounce back, right? They've had some pretty tough losses on the road as of late, and they need to get a dub here for sure against a really shorthanded Philly team. But the reason I'm looking at Maxey points and why I'm going to be looking at 3s with you here in a second for him is just because of the fact that everything he does is exactly where Milwaukee's bad on D. And what we've seen from Milwaukee over their last 4 games on defense, back down to the second worst defensive rating in the league. I know they've had some tough games over the last 4 where they played, whatever you want to do with Golden State. They got smacked by Golden State, who still had Steph at least. They lost. They could scored actually a decent amount against the Clips, I believe it was, and then lost to the Kings and the Lakers in some pretty bad fashion, if you will, for both of those games. So they're coming back, and I do think that they might blow this team out eventually, or at least it'll be one of those games where it's like 6 to 10 points for the majority of the game. Everybody who bet Philly plus 8.5 is going to feel great about themselves until 3 free throws come in at the end of the game that make it a 12-point victory for the Bucks. It's kind of one of those games that I see like that, or the Bucks blowing them out. If Philly stays close, though, how else are they going to do it other than Maxey going clean off, right? So that's at least what we're hedged against, if you will, last night is the half a unit for him to be in there doing what he does. Like, look at Milwaukee bottom 10 defense versus his scoring and his shot profiles on Courtside Pal, which we talk about all the time and we'll go into in a little bit. And then you also look at the way that they are above the break. Awful. The 3rd most points per game to the ball handler in the pick and roll. They're dead last in terms of their against the break 3s. The field goal percentage and the amount that they're giving up, they're bottom 5 there as well. They're bad, right? Like, say what you want about Dame right now. He's kind of getting cooked up there. And Pat Bev will be in this one, and I'm sure he'll be in enough to guard Maxey, but I mean, he's playing like 28 minutes. If he gets the minutes to guard Maxey, maybe you worry about that as well. But last thing there too, just like the stuff for Maxey is like he's coming off the screens, and that's what he's going to be looking to do is probably shoot pretty consistently. He's not as good of a 3-point shooter when Joel's not in. I will say that about Maxey. Like, he needs to be that catch and shoot 3 guy where the defense just collapses on Joel, and then you get Maxey getting those open 3s. That's where he's best for sure. Obviously, without Joel, we don't love the 3-point percentage that he usually puts up, but I think we're in a good enough place that like we're going to look at the 3s here in a minute for him. Another bet that I did place that was in the projections video as a lean, but like I think Jaylen Brown is playing, and please like hit me up with the with whatever you guys see, if you see it when you see it, right? Like who's coming in and out, because I'm trying to look at these injury reports as much as I can while I'm talking to you guys. But if you see something about Jaylen Brown, let me know. So here's what I said last night. Last night it was a lean, right? And it was if Jaylen Brown plays we go for assists with Derek White, hoping it opens at 4.5. It's at 4.5 right now. It's getting juiced way the hell up to the down rather to the over. So I think this is going to turn into 5.5 probably before game time, because I do think Jaylen Brown's going to play. I think a lot of people think he's going to play. He's had 3 days off, 2 full days of rest now since he last played. He's been on this questionable report. I mean, what feels like almost as often as like a LeBron James, honestly, not quite that much because LeBron's on like every day, but it does like feel like he's been on there enough that we don't necessarily need to believe in that questionable tag for him too much. So I am going to bank on him playing. What I said last night was if he doesn't play, then we look at points for Derek White, and those are at 14.5 right now. So that's going to be a steal if Jaylen Brown is ruled out. But once again, if the books are confident enough to put 14.5 points out there for Derek White, that tells me that they're confident in Jaylen Brown playing, because of the fact that they know just as well as we know 9 points more per game for Derek White when Jaylen Brown is not on the floor, and his assists go down when Jaylen Brown is on the floor, because he becomes more of a scorer rather than the point guard when JB sits, right? And when JB's out there, there's not enough ball to go around for Derek White to get up the shots to get 23 points. But there are plenty of assists that are able to come his way. We saw him get 9 against this Suns team last time they played. This was 5 days ago or whatever now. They played the exact same situation with Kristaps out. And just to remind people who haven't really seen some of the other videos I put out where I consistently talk about Derek White with and without Kristaps, right? And without Kristaps, he becomes the main ball handler in the pick and roll, where he gets the Jays coming over to him to set the screen. When Kristaps is out there, it's Jason Tatum as the ball handler, Kristaps as the pick and roll man. That stuff is all available in the really easy to find data for that stuff. Like if you look at Jason Tatum on the season, where Kristaps has played most of these games, he's the lead ball handler in the pick and roll play for the Celtics, not Derek White. He's definitely getting a few more threes up, but not quite as many shots up. So we're still waiting on Jaylen Brown. That's what it all comes down to. But like, I like getting ahead of the assists, assuming that Brown is playing. I wouldn't necessarily feel as comfortable getting ahead of the points with Brown not necessarily listed out just yet, right? So let me put this on real quick before you see some of the stuff on the bottom. But let me look at one more bet that I put in for you, and then we're going to look at those Maxey threes. And quick reminder, subscribe to the page if you would. Jump in those comments and let me know, most importantly, what you want to talk about in this stream. We're going to be doing this for an hour, right? So we'll go to about 4:15 p.m. here on the East Coast, out there on the East Coast. And I'll get as many of those in there as I can. At the very end of the show, we're going to look at what those final bets were. I'll put them in the comments as well of the video, so you can jump in there and check those out. But Jalen Green, like we got to go back to him. It's not just because everybody, well, Sengun is who I consider everybody as far as the Houston Rockets are concerned, because he's the dude I respect the most in that lineup. I think Fred VanVleet might be good for some assists, but most importantly right now we got Jalen Green because of the fact that he's the dude that's going to the basket. And there is a bit of a difference, right? Like, quick getting on my soapbox for a minute, like I prefer when players sit, when other players, when we can see like a change in the lineups or the rotations. That's the most helpful, because then we can see how a player does in this situation versus this situation, and we have a much stronger anchor to like base our bets and our numbers upon. So with Jalen Green now, we're talking about Cam Whitmore out and Sengun out. And so the two places that's going to mean he's going to excel a bit more is going to be the transition, and it's going to be it down low, actually scoring around the rim. Right now, a lot of people have thought of him in the past as a shooter predominantly, and he's still getting up about 8 threes a game, which you like to see. But he's also getting to the free throw line, and he's also getting those shots up inside the paint way more. One other thing I am going to look at in a minute as well is Jalen Green rebounds, because I want to know what's up with that, because Sengun's out and Cam Whitmore doesn't really affect his rebounds, but with Sengun out, he's actually boarded up a ton. He has a double-double this season in one of the 2 games that Sengun missed when he played without him, right? And so he got that double-double with points and rebounds. But for the points, he's going down low. He's the dude that's shooting there. He had 11 field goal attempts right around the rim in one of those 2 games without him. In that last one against the Spurs, wasn't like he could really get down low very much with Wemby down there, because Wemby did end up playing in that game and the Spurs won. But Jalen Green wasn't as much of a threat to go down low when you have Victor Wembanyama in there. When you have Kyle Kuzma and Deni Avdija as your dudes who are defending the rim down low, yeah, I'm going to feel pretty good. Maybe you think Koulibaly, the Rook, has a good chance too of defending the rim, but none of these dudes can actually protect the basket. So if Jalen Green's going to be taking all his shots from down low, then we like him to get the points. If you want to ladder that as well, like let me know what you think too, because I'm happy to see what that looks like. I think for 25, it was like 120. It wasn't really a great number for him just to get the first ladder rung. If you get up to about 28 to 30 points, I'm sure you can get some good stuff for him in a game where he's going to be going in transition and he's going to be going to the basket a ton, right? So those are the three that I had. The other one that I want to look at too is DeMar. And DeMar, like, this is what I'm looking at for him. We're at 25.5 points for him, I believe, on the let me look at the numbers here as far as what the prop lines are right now for our guy. So let's go over to, I believe he's still at 25.5 points for DeMar DeRozan. And we don't have any of those Clippers things up because we don't know about Kawhi. We don't know about James Harden. But yeah, he's at 25.5 right now. And that's at least in part due to the fact that we know Coby White's not playing now. So now we're talking about no Coby White in this one as one of their obviously main scorers as well. That's going to just mean more shots for DeMar, which if you look at what he's done over the course of his last 17 field goal attempts per game, he is getting the 38.5 minutes, right? That's something that we always want to make sure we get for someone when we take their overs is their minutes and their volume. And he is getting those shots up. So at 25.5, my thing with DeMar right now is, like, I'll just show you this rather than going through all the stats on my shared screen. Let me just show you the stuff I already know for DeMar, right? The Clippers, a bottom 10 defense versus isolation. That's going to be a problem for DeMar, who gets into isolation. The 91st percentile is how often he's doing that. So he's in the top 15 to 18 dudes in terms of how often he's playing in iso ball. Then you look at the Clippers allowing their field goal percentage from mid-range. This is always what you go to with DeMar is how's the other team defend the mid-range? You know he's going to be taking a ton of shots from there. And so in this one, like, they should be good at mid-range defense, but they're not, right? For the Clips, that's over their last 10 games too. But on the season, they are giving up a good amount of shot attempts from mid-range, and that's all I care about with DeMar, is even more so than what the opposing field goal percentage is against him in the mid-range. It's like, how often are they letting dudes take those shots from the mid-range? And if it's pretty high, then I'm going to go ahead and feel good about DeMar points over. So you can see in his last 4, he does have a 50 burger against those Clips in overtime last season. Kawhi didn't play in that game. And even if Kawhi's not the main defender on him, I much prefer to wait to know what's up with Kawhi's status before I bet on DeMar, mostly just because if Kawhi's in there, even if he's not the main defender, he's a good defender as off ball and helping on DeMar, which is something that you need. You really can't let him go one-on-one. There's really not very many, if any, defenders in the league that are going to guarantee you that they can shut down DeMar DeRozan if you leave him one-on-one with some space around the elbow and the baseline where he likes to operate. I don't think there's going to be much good matchups in this one, because I don't think they're going to put Paul George and or Kawhi on DeMar, even if they play. So the other thing is, with no rest, he's at about 24.5 points per game on no rest. And that he actually averages a bit more without Zach LaVine in there. He gets 24.5 without Zach LaVine, 18 a game on no rest this season with Zach LaVine, and that's about 6 and 5 games each. So it's a nice, good sample size to at least be able to buy into it. You know he's going to get the minutes, and the shots are about to come, because without Coby White in there, there's not going to be nearly as many shooters and people eating into his usage. I am currently seeing that Kawhi is getting lines up as I'm talking about this, which is not necessarily disheartening. We can still feel all right about it, but with Kawhi in there, it is a bet I like a lot less. So let me look at a couple things that I wanted to see. The first one was Tyrese Maxey, but let me look real quick at what you guys are saying too. We got a couple of people asking about, Chris Peterson's asking about Grayson Allen for plus money on over 3.5 boards. Celtics give up the second most rebounds to his style of rebounder. Took it last time the same line against them, and he got 5. All right, and that last time that he played, he also was playing without Kristaps against him on that Celtics squad. So I see what you're saying there, Chris. And then we got Oubre over PRA in this one. I was looking at Oubre too, in terms of how he's going to do that. I can take a quick look at him before I get into the Maxey threes real quick, because I can go over here for threes too. But looking at Kelly Oubre, we got 16.5 points I was looking at. Obviously, that's a lot of green as of late for him. And really, I don't know what would have changed, but obviously Maxey being out. If you look at what Kelly Oubre has done with Maxey in, let's see what that is real quick. So obviously the point's not quite as much. Since the break, he's only gone over this number, the 3 out of basically, well, where's the break here? We have 3 out of the last 7, but he's done it the last 2 games. Obviously loves playing against the Knicks, had plenty of incentive there. Looking at the boards real quick for him, 5.5, and then 1.5 assists. So you throw it all together for 22.5. The thing about Oubre too is just like, is he going to do the ancillary stuff? Let's take a look at what his rebound chances have been for a sec. Go over to tracking, player tracking data, rebounding. I don't remember. Let's look at the last, well, what we got over here right now. Basically since the break, it is the 22nd, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is with Maxey though too, so let me make sure I get this right. Yeah, but it's since the 25th is what we'll put in here, because he's been getting the PRA a lot too. I'm assuming that's what we start with when you look at it. Looking at his rebounding, I want to know if he's actually trying to get boards. And that game was since the 25th of February. So that's the first game back for him after the break. In that time frame, we got to look at Philly real quick. All teams, go to Philly and change that. Rebound chances for Oubre. I mean, he's at 10.5, getting the 6 boards. It's a pretty good rebound chance percentage for him there. As you can see, 56.5%. That's not too high. It's still pretty good, but it's not too high. The rebounds are at 5.5 by themselves, right? Because I want to break it down, like, instead of just looking at it as a whole and going like, can he do this or not? I do need to break it down a little bit by stat to make sure that I'm not like missing something within the individual stat columns here. But for rebound chances for Oubre, 10.6, pretty good contested rebound chance percentage for some of his size too. And getting the 6 boards a game, it's not bad. Nobody that we can really rely on that's missing from this, obviously, besides Joel Embiid. I also I don't know if I love the rebounds for him, because I do think that the thing that scares me more than anything is the possibility of a blowout for the other squad. I don't know that I want to take a rebounding prop for somebody against this Bucks team the way that the Philly 76ers have been. Basically, let's call them at least bottom 5 rebounding team in the league over basically since Joel went down, essentially. What up, Joe? Yeah, we're talking about Maxey with people guarding Malik Beasley, I believe, is still questionable too. I'm gonna get to Maxey here in just 1 second, and I'll look at Grayson Allen for you. For Kelly Oubre, real quick. I know Dolores76 asked me about that. I'm a bit skeptical. I think the points is where I lean more than anything, knowing that he is going to take the shots, and we know he wants to. 15.5 shots over the course of his last 10 alone. But I do real quick. What's the shots at with Maxey in there? If we look at it. With Maxey, that number dropped to 12.9. I mean, that's a lot fewer shots, right? That we got there, like 3 less per game. Is that what we just said? Yeah, basically 2.5 fewer shots per game for Kelly Oubre as well. So I'll take a quick look at how of course, iPal ranks him compared to this Bucks defense. Bucks defense that I don't know if I trust, y'all. Like, I don't know if anybody out there still believes that they can pull it back. Like, I think they're going to score a lot tonight against Philly, but like whether or not they actually still have it on defense, we'll find out. As far as Oubre scoring against this Bucks team, they're not bad. Obviously, middle of the pack against his shooting and scoring when it comes to points. Looking at rebounds real quick. Yeah, they are more susceptible to give him rebounds than other people, probably 10th most there. And then as far as dimes go, not that we necessarily think he's going to be the dude diming anybody up. Milwaukee has been pretty good at limiting his assists in general. So, yeah, I mean, that Milwaukee defense lately has been so doo-doo. Like I said, second worst on this last road trip where they're finally coming home after four games on the road that were pretty tough for them against some of the top teams in the West, including that Kings team that's coming around to form right now. So for Oubre there, it's tough for me to say. Let me look at one more thing because you got me really intrigued, honestly, with Oubre. And I want to look at the teams and how they do against other specific plays. The thing about Milwaukee that we know, which I brought up with Maxey, is how terrible they are against pick and roll ball handler and how terrible they are against the dudes who shoot from up top, right? So we really want to know real quick, where is Oubre taking his shots from? And we can look at that here with players shooting. It's, again, something that I have in my model that I still need to just tweak exactly how I'm going to show you guys the model, and then I can just pull it up a lot more easily here and not have to worry about it. Player shooting for the Bucks. Looking at Oubre and where he's shooting from, he needs to be taking a good amount of shots from above the break. And I don't know that he's ever really the dude in the pick and roll. Why did I go to the Bucks? My bad. I meant for the 76ers. We know the Bucks are bad against above the break. I told you that in the Maxey bet. Hopefully you saw the video last night because you are liked and subscribed. But yeah, Oubre, I mean, let's go to at least let's do last 10 then or so that we don't have Joel Embiid stats in there to mess up his stats. I mean, still not where dude shoots from, right? He's playing out on the wing and gets in, and he does attack the basket a lot. But if you want, the Bucks have had a decently bad opponent field goal percentage and like frequency, all that stuff around the rim as of late. So if you believe in their lack of ability to defend the rim against the recent teams that they've played, then maybe you like Oubre. But if you want to look at where he's taking most of his shots, like he's going to the rim, right? He's taking 5.5 of them from the restricted area. That's basically 9 shots, a little bit more than 9 shots that he's taking in the paint in general here. And then a few from the mid-range. Is he a corner 3 guy? a little bit of corner three, but it's just compared to everybody else on the squad, he's not taking shots from up top because this area is owned by Melton when he's in there, but mostly Tyrese Maxey, Buddy Hield, Cam Payne. Those are the dudes that we've seen shooting from up there as of late, and really without Joel Embiid in there. So compared to where the Bucks are defense is a dude who wants to be driving into the lane. I'm not sure that I'm with Kelly Oubre. Let me move on real quick on to the next one that we were talking about a minute ago here before I get too far away. We're talking about Grayson Allen, and I don't want to get too far away from Chris's question about that. But Chris, my bad. I'm here. I got to talk about Maxey threes and Joe, my guy Joe, who we always go back and forth on Twitter. Cup of Joe over there talking about how. Let me know what you think real quick, Joe. When you jump in the comments, like, do you think that you're worried about Maxey being guarded by Pat Bev? And the same concept, because Beasley's still questionable, right? I don't know if he has props up. Malik Beasley does have props up. And Pat Bev will be in there for sure. What's Pat been doing as of late in terms of his minutes and stuff? Because he missed a game or two, I believe. Pat Beverly stats. Let's just do with Bucks this season. Playing 18 and a half. Let me look at his game log. Because the 18 and a half doesn't insinuate he's going to be out there to bother Maxey enough, right? But if we look at when he's played, I mean, he did play a good amount against SAC the other night, and they obviously weren't in that game for very long. Didn't play very much against the LA squads or Golden State, and then when he was at home did. So I don't think that there's any direct correlation between like, oh, there's a good guard on the other team and we need Pat Bev to guard him, because why wasn't he out there against the Dubs? Why wasn't he out there against the Clippers, maybe guarding Harden? Like, not something that seems like he's just been employed to be out there for more minutes. So I'm not super like concerned that Pat Bev is going to come in and shut down Tyrese Maxey. Malik Beasley has been nice on defense this season. I will say that, but if it's really just about the volume for Maxey, you know what I mean? Like if you look at how many shots I expect him to be taking in this game, let's just go to Maxey real quick and look at his recent stuff here. I'm prop.cash. If you look at his field goal attempts as of late, I mean, when he's actually in there, he got a little bit hurt, I believe. He came back against the Knicks, right? And they got blown out. 37.7 minutes, though. I can expect that if they're in this game at all, if like they're within striking distance, like inside of 15 points going into the fourth quarter, he's still going to be out there for a ton of minutes, I would imagine. Somebody was talking about the Doc Rivers revenge back against Philly. Like, I do think that does indicate that, like, if Milwaukee has the opportunity to blow out this squad, like, he's not going to start resting dudes if he has a chance to just beat the crap out of them, right? So I would consider that a good thing. When you're talking about Maxey here, the last thing I want to talk about was the threes for Maxey. We're still getting the same shit I was seeing last night, which is this crap awful odds, right, for him to get the 2.5. So if we go to a book, like, let's do DraftKings real quick. And if we look at Maxey threes for alt in this case, what do we get for him to hit 4, right? Let's start there. So, yeah, the 4 is plus 135. And, like, that's not something that he's done super often without Joel. I just want to show you what I'm talking about real quick. If you look at Tyrese Maxey with and without Joel Embiid this season on StatMuse, once again pumping up StatMuse as an awesome place that scrapes everything from the internet, the scrape gods as they are. The 3-point percentage right here, look at that with Joel, 40% versus without him, right? 34.7. Like, the 3 isn't even a foregone conclusion if this man takes 8.5 threes on average, right? Like, over the course of his last 10, we're talking about how many threes? 7.6. Like, for him to hit 4 of 7 or even 8, for him to hit 50%, man, I cannot imagine he's done that quite often, right? Like, we can even look at the 3-point percentage for dude real quick. 3-point percentage here, 50-50. Okay, cool. And in those, he hit 3, and in the other 51, he hit 5 of 10, right? So for him to get 4 or 5, he is going to need to hit 50% of his threes. Do you think he can do that? Now, if you recall what I was saying a minute ago, like this Bucks team will give it up. I'll look at their team up just to show you what I mean, because I was already looking this up and I have it on a graphic that I put up a minute ago. But for him, for the Bucks, I mean, on the season, let's look at above the break threes, right? For Milwaukee, giving up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 8th most, and right there, so probably about a decently bad field goal percentage from 3 on the season got a little bit better than what I was remembering. Let's look at, honestly, like they just got torched is the thing too. So if we even just look at the last 5 for this squad from above the break, and I know they had a game against Steph Curry, so that might not be totally fair. I can recognize that. In terms of the against, they're looking at 3rd most with the worst field goal percentage, right? And like I said, I know Steph was in that game. But either way, like that's one of the last 5. We're talking about them being real bad from there and really not being able to defend it. So if you do think that he's good to make 50%, then yeah, maybe you take the alt 3s for him over everything else. Like I said, I'm not super worried about Pat Bev just D'ing him up entirely. Malik Beasley is somebody that you could be worried about. I would understand that a little bit more than even Pat Bev, because the minutes that you'll see Beasley getting, and he might be out there consistently just to be guarding Tyrese Maxey. So it's a good shout by you, Joe, and we'll see what happens there. I'm looking at Buddy Hield before I move off this, just because he's at 7 attempts a game, because he's also shooting from above the break, right? The thing is like Maxey's the dude in the pick and roll ball handling, and if you look at teams and how the squad has done against the pick and roll ball handler, if you look at defensive numbers for Milwaukee, we're talking about the most possessions against them where the pick and roll ball handler is pick and roll is a play. If you look at the points per possession, they're bottom 5 here. The amount of points they give up, the second most to the pick and roll ball handler. That's what I'm looking at, right? Now, I know Tyrese Maxey is doing that a ton. He's doing it in the 91st percentile of the league, like top 15 in the amount of times that he's in that pick and roll as the ball handler. I just want to know, is that what Buddy Hield is doing real quick? Is Buddy Hield ever the pick and roll ball handler for this squad? Let's go to Team Philly. And possessions. Nah, it's not what he does, right? He's a catch and shoot guy. We know that, right? And I'm pretty sure as far as play type, where's catch and shoot? Spot. Let's at least look at spot up defensive. Oh, Milwaukee's pretty bad against that too. That's fair. They will give it up to the spot up shooter. Well, will they? Nah, not too many points. Pretty decent amount, but they have a lot of possessions against them in that sense. No, they're pretty good at closing out. And Buddy against this squad has done all right in the past against Milwaukee. This is as a member of the 76ers. So if you want to take him to get the 2, the plus money there isn't bad for him to get the 3 threes. If he's got to hit 3 out of 7, that's a pretty high percentage. But yeah, it's not good enough for me to put a bet. I'm not going to put it down. Just so y'all know too, I'm going to be putting these bets together on a card that I'm going to put up on the screen here at the end. Bear with me when I do that. But when I have something that I'm like, yo, I'm hitting this, then I'm going to get to it. So Larry Stone Cold real quick was asking about KD tonight. I will say KD without Devin Booker would have been somewhat of a lock for me where he's at. I think he's at 27.5 points. Let's go to that Phoenix Boston game real quick and look at what we're talking about. For the Suns, we only have Brad Beal, KD, Grayson Allen, who I am going to look at. Let's look at Grayson real quick because we were talking about rebounds, and Chris Peterson took him for rebounds against his squad last game. Last 10 in general, it's about the rebound chances too, right? So if Nurk is not in there as much and you go with a smaller lineup for this game, I could see that being the case. So his last game against Boston, right? He got the 5 boards right there, which is good. 3.5 even money at least. You can get plus 112 over here if you look at Caesars for him to get the 4 boards in this game. It's about how many minutes you think Nurk is going to play, because Porzingis is not in there. So how many minutes is Nurk going to get? He has sat a decent amount when he doesn't really have a foe, right? When they don't need to worry about having a big in there to deal with another good center. Nurk is they're down to keep him off the floor. So let me look at this for Grayson real quick. He's at 4 boards. Nurk, it's basically like with and without Nurk, but Nurk's gonna play. I mean, if you look at without Nurk, just as a really bad example of what we're talking about here. I mean, without Nurk, he gets the boards, and really, it's about the Nurk numbers, right? I wanted to look at the minutes for Grayson this last game against the. Yeah, I mean, he played 39 minutes against them last game, right? And so that does indicate that if the Celtics go small and keep Al Horford off the floor, let's look at some Al Horford stuff. This is all just such a maze of shit that we're sifting through. Al Horford with and without Porzingis this year. The minutes do go up to 30.5, right? Let me look at his game log without Porzingis too, because if he gets a bunch of minutes, they might keep Nurk in there. But honestly, like, why wouldn't they go small? That was the lineup that they played last game, right? For the Suns, they played small ball a lot against this team without Porzingis in there. And Al Horford played 32 minutes in that game. And how many minutes did Nurk have? Nurkic played 28 compared to Eric Gordon getting in there for 29, which means small ball, which means more rebound chances for Grayson Allen, right? Let me look at one last thing for Grayson, which is how his let me get off this Bulls tab. I don't do that right now. Let me look at Grayson's rebound chances. Hopefully they have tracking data, because sometimes they don't have tracking data, y'all, in these games randomly. And if you don't, it's really annoying. If you just happen to come up on a game that they didn't have tracking data for that game because whatever, the 4,000 cameras that are on the floor weren't working or something. I think it's shit in the floor too. Like, there's legit sensors. It's crazy how they're tracking individual data these days. Phoenix Suns, let's look at last game. No, it wasn't last game. My bad. Let's look at versus what the Suns game was on 3-9, right? Let me look at just do it that way. 3-9 so that we can get the exact game here. Right, so what I did to get the exact game player tracking data, it's kind of annoying, but you have to go player tracking, go to the stat you want, and then you have to, if you want to find like one particular game and find that tracking data, you can either just, if they played them one time, right, I could just do Phoenix versus Boston, but they have actually played them one time, so I could have done that. But 3-9 is the date, and start date and end date here gets me, and what? Didn't they play on that date? Am I tripping? Come on, man. No, they played on the 9th. Does that mean there was no tracking data for that game? I thought they had it for some reason. Oh, they didn't. They didn't have tracking data because I was trying to find potential assists and things of that nature for Derek White, and I couldn't get it either. That's dumb annoying, right? So I couldn't get. Is this? Yeah, no, this is a different game, right? Because I took off the from date. So Grayson Allen, let's see. Right now, we're talking about only 4 potential rebounds last game, and that was with Nurk playing 29.5 minutes and him playing 35.7. So. It's not something I love, man, but if you were going to hit it, I would understand that, Chris Peterson, because of the way you were talking about Courtside Palace, saying that they are susceptible to giving up rebounds to him. But they got one of the best rebounding backcourts in the league between Drew and Derek White, right? So I'm not necessarily in love with that bet, even though I wish I could see the rebound chances. My bad, D-Lord. Either way, I snagged. Let's see. Let me keep going. Chris Peterson, you talking about OG. Grayson Allen has been solid with 3 points made. Let's talk about OG for a minute, because I was looking at some OG stuff, and we got a couple people in here talking about 19.5 PRA. Chris Peterson got 18.5 PRA. Yeah, let me look at they must all have bras under their jersey. For real, like, are they just blocking out the tracking data? I have to learn exactly how it is that they do it. I can tell you NBA 2K actually has a lot to do with it. I happen to know that for a fact, that NBA 2K has a ton of cameras on certain floors in the NBA that does help the NBA get data as well, and for 2K to be as realistic as possible for all you gamers out there. But let me not shout them out too much right now. Let's look at the OG stuff, right? And I was looking at OG because he's got a lot of green as of late that catches your eye when it comes to rebounds, for instance. If you look at the last 10 for him, right, there's a good amount of him getting over 4 boards, like over 4 or more rebounds. And that does feel like a small amount, right? So when we look at OG real quick, let's look at his player type and start there in terms of how he might fare against this Portland squad, which, do we know who's playing for Portland? Like, do we ever know who's playing for Portland? And when we do we know how often people are going to play? Like, I don't really understand Chauncey Billups' rotation minutes, but looking at OG, nice. Yogi Ferrell still is up on here. That's hilarious. OG Anunoby. Let's look at boards versus this Portland team. Wow, you guess you would get a lot against Houston, I guess. Portland, 10th most that they're giving up to OG right there in terms of where he is on the floor and how he gets boards. I think OG's been getting offensive boards too, if I'm not mistaken. We can see specifically OREBs here, down here. No, not really. I lied to you. My bad. He's been doing it on the defensive rebounding side. He's been getting a bunch of these, like 4 of those alone a game, and not really quite as much on the offensive side. Obviously, he's only got the 1 game back since coming back from injury, but he had 4 boards in that one against Philly, who is awful at rebounding in general. He played 28.8 minutes. I think you probably think that he gets to about 30, ramping up if this game's not a blowout, and he probably would have had a few more points in that one because he had a really nice plus minus for them too. He's playing really well. If we look at his rebounding chances real quick, looking at OG, let's see where he's been at in general. And the thing is like, also with rebounding, sometimes I want to look at who his matchup is going to be, which I'm not going to get because I don't know who's playing. I'm gonna pull up the latest injury report real quick while I got you here talking about this Knicks squad, knowing who's playing in it. If we go to the most recent one for this Knicks team against Portland. Yeah, Portland's not going to submit this. We don't know who's going to be playing for Portland. It's mad annoying. They're on a back-to-back. They're probably going to play young guys, but they have mostly young guys anyway, so it's really hard to like predict who's going to be out there. The thing I want to know with player tracking sometime too for these rebounds, like I was saying, is like if I know a dude has to guard a bigger player. So if OG was the dude responsible for guarding the 4 or who's ever playing close to the basket for this Portland team, then I might be like, yeah, okay, well, if he's guarding them, he's already down there. He's probably going to get these rebounds, right? So that is something I want to know is like, what's his individual matchup going to be? Let's look at the lineup for, let's just go to ESPN real quick and just look at the lineup for this Portland Trailblazers side. Like who could be in there? And we might be able to see who OG was playing up against. I do want to know about his rebounds, especially before I get into it. And then I'll look at his usage on, oh, right, Jeremy Grant. Okay, he's out. Nope, that was last night. So Jeremy Grant might play tonight. If Jeremy Grant's in there and he's guarding Jeremy Grant, which would definitely be the matchup at that point. Yeah, I mean, Jeremy Grant's allergic to the paint. So, like, I don't know what that means for OG. In fact, if he's responsible for guarding the dude who's going to shoot the most, I don't love that as much, to be honest with you, right? When's the last time he's played against this squad? Was it with the Knicks? No, I don't think so. Let me look at OG real quick. OG Anu game log with Knicks. Did they play Portland? Yeah, okay, he did play Portland. And in that game, he had 4 boards. He played 29 minutes, 23 points. Did he guard? Yeah, he guarded Jeremy Grant. He had to have, right? So, and I can actually verify that. So let me not just do guesswork here. Let me just quickly go to that Knicks game log here in the NBA stats page, because that's going to be way more accurate, be able to show me things like the matchup exactly, right? So if we go to 1-9 over here, and we look at this game, this box score between these two teams, if we have our player tracking data, fingers crossed, hell yeah, because we can go to to the matchups here and see who it was that they pinned OG on. It's got to be Jeremy Grant, right? Who else would he guard? Yeah, Jeremy Grant was the one he was the primary defender on. When he was guarding Jeremy Grant, Grant did all right. 1 for 3 only, but he got to the free throw line 3 times. So yeah, I mean the rebound chances in that game too. We can look at that. Thank the Lord. Let me go to that real quick and see what his rebound chances were in that game exactly, because I don't know that it's going to be that high. If he's busy guarding the dude who's shooting the most, which I'm imagining that that Jeremy Grant was shooting the most, that's what he'd be doing. Players going to tracking for OG rebounding. Let's look at that game on the 9th real quick. On 1-9. All right. Oops. Forgot to go to the Knicks. New York Knicks. Come on, man. New York Knicks rebound chances in that game. Hartenstein. Yeah, we still had Julius Randle in there, so that's going to mess it up. But he was behind guys like Josh Hart, Miles McBride. He had 6 rebound chances in that game to get the 4. So it's like, yeah, he's got to get a lot of the boards that are available to him in that situation. That makes me feel a little bit more nervous. He got hella points in that game, right? Against the Blazers. He had 23 in that game and that was only in the 29.5 minutes, but that's about what we expect from him tonight. On the 11.7 field goal attempts, because he made 4 threes in that game, right? So he was wet from 3, 4 for 6 in that one. If he gets the 6 threes again, you expect him to make 2. That puts you at 6 points. He's not really getting to the free throw line, right? I don't remember him getting free throw attempts here. Yeah, how many do you have against this? 2 free throw attempts against Portland. So it was a really good shooting game for him, kind of an anomaly. Nobody expects him to be diming up. It's not what he does. So yeah, the OG one, I can understand people liking that because of how he's done, and the minutes should be there for him. But I'm not quite as confident in his volume, which is what I can't bet on if I don't feel like there's going to be a ton of volume in that one. But let's see real quick. We got KD overs. We talked about, we didn't get into KD, which I was supposed to talk about. That's my bad. Look at my ADD going crazy. I still haven't added a bet yet, and it does feel like Kawhi's playing, doesn't it? Because Kawhi's got props up, but we never know with that man. So, like, I'm not ready to start putting a bet down at Kawhi. If we look at KD real quick, looking at his points, obviously he dropped 45 against them last game. I believe that was without Booker, right? In terms of if we could just cancel out Booker real quick, and we'll see that Book did or didn't play in that game. No, he didn't, right? That's how he got 45. That's how he got 25. I repeat, 25 field goal attempts for KD. So if you were in here talking about KD for the points as a part of the prop as well, not so sure how I feel about that. You want to know about I do like the boards. If you can get 7 boards, does seem realistic, right? Let's look at KD with and without Booker real quick. What if there's anything that actually gets impacted more than others in terms of stats? Kevin Durant with and without Devin Booker this season. Yeah, the boards don't go up without Book. Neither do the assists. It's the points, right? Without Booker, you look at the points and you go, yep, okay, great. But Book's in there. And part of the reason that also I like Book a little bit more than KD in this one. Like, where's KD shooting from, and where are the Celtics most vulnerable from? In fact, I'm just going to straight up show you my notes real quick from that, because I've took down a lot of stuff that I'd just rather show you than have to cipher through all this stuff, right? But if you look at the way that these teams play real quick in terms of like how they defend different plays, right? In terms of the ISO here, they both these teams are good defending the ISO. 8th best for Phoenix in terms of their points per possession that they give up. Boston 10th best points per possession that they give up. This is all stuff that you go to in over here under teams, and you go over to play type. We look at the ISO stuff, you go over to defensive, right? And you can just see where everybody's at. So points per possession, both these teams are going to be giving up a few more. You got Boston. Where'd you go? Is this defensive? Yeah, defensive. Oh no, best. I'm sorry, best against it, right? So Phoenix here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th best, and then you got Boston 10th best against the ISO ball here, right? So Phoenix and both of them have really good individual defenders, long rangey guys across the wings that they're just full of wings, right? That are really, really good. That's what these teams are made of. And then you got Nurk and KP have both been having really good defensive seasons. When you talk about on offense, we know that's what they want to do the most. You look at the players who do it the most for each team. Tatum goes into the ISO 3rd most. Booker 13. This is in the league, by the way. This is on their teams. This is in the NBA, because we're talking about the heaviest ISO usage players in the league. So I don't need to like know how they do compared to their to their teammates. I want to know how they do compared to the rest of the league, because that's how good these dudes are and how often they're doing it. Even Jaylen Brown, I believe, is in the top 30 in terms of the amount of possessions he has per game where he's going up in an ISO situation. He's just out in transition so much that's a big reason for why he gets all his buckets at the rim and in transition. And when he happens to hit threes, then he makes them. But for these dudes, like Booker's 13th most in the league, but KD's even more, right? So like not necessarily saying like, oh, they're going to shut down KD because he plays too much ISO. Just saying this Boston defense as a team is very good against that play type, right? In terms of transition, yeah, Boston's going to be the most efficient defense in terms of limiting transition points. And Phoenix is 8th best. They both get back on D hella well. They both are very efficient in the transition, and that's going to be a big part of if Phoenix stays in this game, is how well they get back on defense. Because if you don't stop this fast break against Boston, you're cooked, right? Like, they're okay. They've been good in the half court this season, has Boston, but when you look at them in transition, they're basically the best team, at least one of the best teams, and how often they're doing it is leads to a lot of fast break points. Reason being, Jaylen Brown is very unstoppable in transition. So is Jason Tatum, and even Derek White has been really effective in transition for them as well. But for Booker, he's the one that gets out in transition. Let me get to the point I really want to make about Book, though. The defenses for these teams are most vulnerable versus the PNR ball handler, right? The pick and roll ball handler, and that for the tonight for the Celtics is not going to be Jason Tatum. It's going to be Derek White, who's second on the team. But as I mentioned at the top of the live stream, for those of you who were still around, we know that Derek White, as soon as KP is off the floor, Derek White becomes the dude who's the main ball handler with the Jays in acting as the screen guy for him, right? And so it's not going to be the same action. That's why we like Derek White assist tonight. For those of you guys who also weren't here for that part, I'll just pull it up and put it over my face. Like, yeah, we like not Demar, my bad. We like Derek White over 4.5 assists. I got it at minus 134 to get the full unit back. I put 1.34 units down, right? So that'll get me one full unit back on my money for Derek White over assists. And that is, like I was saying, because of the fact that when this number changes for the Celtics from Tatum to Derek White as the PNR ball handler in the situation, I expect him to pass it a good amount out of that rather than be the shooter. But yeah, if Tatum is in there, he should be good for those points. But Booker's the one doing it the most one of the most in the NBA and the most on his team. He's the dude, right, who's always got the ball in his hands as the pick and roll guy, as the ball handler in that situation. So that is why I feel a little bit better about Booker getting some more points and eating into KD's points in this situation. Even Beal does it in terms of the amount of possessions. He's the ball handler in that pick and roll a bit more than KD. Not that KD needs it, right? Like KD is going to get his no matter what, but it's a big reason why I'm like, man, that 45 was heavily predicated on Booker not being in there to take any shots from him. So that is why I'm not necessarily in love with it. But for the assist for KD, we were at 4.5 for even money here. Wow, that's pretty good juice on FanDuel compared to the rest of these books too. So if you did want to talk about the assist for him, I hear you. I'm on head to head. Let me look at last 10, and I think I have to have Booker in here because we got to know what this is like for him with Book. Still doing it. This is the place that I would be looking, right, in terms of being able to get a good KD prop. I probably would be looking at rebounds and assists a little bit more for KD in this one. I'll just look real quick at Durant and how he might stack up against this Boston team. I mean, Boston's gonna be good at stopping a lot of people. Durant's a little bit like LeBron, where I'm like, I don't really care what you tell me is who is good at stopping him or not. Like, it's Kevin Durant. But when you look at scorers, like Boston would be vulnerable to him. That they are allowing a decent amount of points in the mid range as well, which is where that KD is going to be living. So if KD's making a lot of his shots from, let me look at KD, what he did in this last game, how he split his shots up from the floor real quick. In this last one, without Book, he had the 26 field goal attempts. 7 of them were from deep, and he got to the line 6 times in this one, 7 times in this one, the last game. So, yeah, I mean, the scoring is something that he could definitely do. The 2-point attempts is a lot of mid-range, right? Like, he only got 5 points from the free throw line. He made how many threes did he make in this one? He made 4, so that's 12 plus so 17, and then all the other 45 were off dunks and shots, right? So if they are going to him in the 2-point game as often as he was going in it in this last one against them, then yeah, he might be okay for the points. But like I was saying, that it's Booker playing that pick and roll that really tempts me a bit more. And so if you look at Booker's points, it's still pretty high for dude too, man. That's really high. His assists, we can get it at 5.5. That's where I would go with Book if I was going to talk about it here with a Booker bet. Let me look at that real quick for Book going up against this team with assists, because that's starting to intrigue me a bit more. Not assists, Devin Booker. Devin Booker on Courtside Pal. If you don't know Courtside Pal, we love it here on this show. We talk about this all the time because they accurately predict and project player versus player types rather than just putting a point guard or a shooting guard, next to a player's name. They actually look at where that player plays on the floor, how they score, how they play, all that type of stuff. So if we look at assists, Boston doesn't give up many, man. They're going to give they don't give up many assists. They switch everything. So that's a big problem, is that they can just switch literally everything. They have 5 dudes who are equally as good on defense when you look at their starting lineup, right? Even with Papa Al Horford out there, you put him on there, you're not going to get quite as many assists. How has Book fared with assists versus this squad? I mean, 0-for-1 in his last game, which was the beginning of last season. So I do want to see if he's got a lot of potential assists for Book real quick. But I'm not feeling that confident that it's going to matter, to be honest, versus this Celtics team. Like, it's at 5.5 for good money, right? For good reason. Plus 105 for him to get the 6 assists in this one. And what was I looking at? My bad. I distracted myself again. Player tracker passing. And we look at the Phoenix Suns. So we can get Booker stuff here. And let's look at basically just since the All-Star break, which was like coming back on February 22nd was when those first games started. And for Book, potential assists, 11 potential assists to get the 6 that he would need is right at about that number. If you look at his last 10 for the assists, the teams he did it against since the break were Dallas. They give up a ton of assists. The Lakers give up a ton of stats and assists to point guards. Cleveland in that game recently where, Cleveland would just sped up the tempo. They didn't have anybody in that one, right? Like, Donnie Mitchell was out. They kept that game really, really close. So Booker's potential assists being at 11, needing 6 against this Celtics team who, I mean, let's call Book a point guard for a minute and just look at the FanDuel Fantasy Pros here and look at how many assist point guards usually get against this squad. Yeah, 8.17. But the points are there a little bit more, right? For point guards, more so than the assists anyway. 24.39. If you look at Booker's scoring, it's going to be a little bit better, like we said, against this squad because he's going to be shooting from above the break. That's where the Celtics are vulnerable. They're vulnerable for points against the dude who's in the pick and roll ball handler. But I've just that's still a lot at 25.5 for Book for me to feel good about the points. And the assists are something that, like, even if he has 11 with the amount of potential assists that turn into assists against this Boston team, it's not a good look, right? So yeah, that's not something I'm necessarily looking for. Let's see. Kyrie is fasting. Is that true? David Adkins says that because he's at 28.5 points in this one. And I do want to bet on points in this game. But you can see real quick. Let me bring up how this line has moved for the total here on this game between the the Thunder and the Mavs. And so we bring up all markets here for the Thunder and Mavs. I do use Action Network here. They're pretty much the best at this. Look at that line jump, right? Without Luka up to plus 11. And then the total dropped all the way down to 234.5 from 242.5. So there's going to be fewer points in this one probably overall. The annoying part is Shai Gilgeous, or Shay, depending however you want to say it. His mama call him Shy, though, so I'm going to call him Shy. For SGA, 31.5. It was at 30.5. And that's a pretty high number in a game that might be a blowout. I will say Kyrie has kept up his scoring without Luka like pretty well, right? Like if you go to Kyrie at 28.5 points and you put this number in, I mean, this is all with Luka right here. I would be willing to bet Luka missed one of those games that he went over. If you go without Doncic, the last three he's played, he went bonkers, right? He did that against New York and the Pellies twice in those games. He also had a really good game against Portland, where I believe he got the 9 boards that he had against Portland, 5 assists. So he was still doing other things in that win against Portland where they blew him out and he didn't even have to play the fourth quarter. The shot is what I want to know. Like, how many shots is he averaging? 21 shots without Luka. Like, can Kyrie get 27 or 28 points, 29 rather, without Luka if he's shooting 8.5 threes a game? And in these last 3, that number goes up, right? So, like, if you do believe in that, let's see what how the Thunder are at defending Kyrie's scoring profile here. Because I do want to know about Kyrie now that you brought up, even if he's not fasting for Ramadan, that's a lie. I still want to know about it. What do you got there for me, Joe? You're talking about KD, 25 points and 2 threes from JT. That's intriguing. We do like JT coming. The thing about Tatum is he going to be selling for those threes if Kristaps is not in and he has the lane a little bit more open? I'm just going to look because you got me distracted again. And then I swear I'm finishing up what I was just doing, which I'll remember. Kyrie. But we got Kevin Durant. I want to see what he did last game. Jason Tatum, my bad. Jason Tatum versus Suns this season. Let's see. He took 9 threes in that game. So, god damn, yeah. I mean, Jason Tatum, does he take more threes with and without Porzingis? That's what I want to know is, like, is he going to keep shooting those threes? He's not going to just attack the basket, I guess, necessarily this season. With KP, we're talking about 8.3 threes. Yeah, he might even be liable to shoot another extra one because if he's the ball handler or the pick and roll man on the pick and roll, not the ball handler, which is what happens when KP sits, like we talked about, then he's more likely to shoot a few more threes. So I see you over there. The KD 25 is the only thing that scares me for real, just because of how much Book eats into his numbers. I got to distract myself just one more time to look at that because Joe brought it up, and it's intriguing me that you can get 25 plus the Tatum 2 threes. I like the Tatum 2 threes, now that you bring it to my attention, Joe. Looking at Kevin with and without Book, right? Like he's right at about 26. Look at with Book real quick. With Book in his last 10, let's put this down though, right? Let's move this this number down to 25. Did I get there? Yeah, 25. So he would need 25. He's done this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those last 10 with Book. Yeah, half the time with Book since the All-Star break in general. I'm not as impressed by his scoring against Houston and Cleveland, to be honest with you. just because of who's defending him out there. He probably got free throws against that squads too, the way that they foul. How many free throws did he? Yeah, look at the free throws against Houston. Boom, 10 free throw attempts against Houston because they give up so many free throws. So that's part of why he got those points. Like if you're going to get 7 made free throws on 10 attempts, come on, KD, 70% from the free throw line in that game. But if you're going to get the 10 attempts against Houston, that's going to be a big reason for 2 of those overs. Oh, he went under in one of them too. That's gnarly, right? Like I don't know that he's going to be getting those free throw attempts. I believe they limit free throw attempts. Do the Boston Celtics, which I can look at by going to general real quick. Look at how much you're going to be going on this goose chase for this. I'm off it now. Free throw attempt rate for their opponent. Yeah, Celtics are second best in the league, so that I don't think there's gonna be many. The KD thing is the only thing that scares me, bro. Honestly, yeah. I think Dr. Recha. Let me know if I'm saying it wrong. I don't mean to pronounce anybody's name wrong. But I see you out there saying the same stuff with KD. Could go either way. That's my scary part. Let's look at Dame. Let me finish what I was doing with Kyrie real quick. For Kyrie scoring against this Thunder team, and I do want to know who we think the matchup for dude will be as well. Points for Kyrie. Looking at how they're gonna, what colors OKC are they gonna be? Orange. They're gonna be good against his shot profile, against his scoring profile. They're a little bit worse. They give a few more points there. In terms of his playmaking, they're gonna be good against assists for Kyrie as well. I mean, they've been a really good defense, man. They I think in the top 5 in both offensive and defensive rating this season for the Thunder. So it's not like there's much to feel great about. Let's look at how they handle point guards. And they're going to be pretty good against point guards, right? They limit points. They're in the top 10 there. And limiting assists, they are in the top 10. There's a reason they're in the top 10 in defense in general, right? Rebounds, they're going to be limiting in the top 10. So Kyrie's going to have to go off a bit. And if we look at how he's done, I mean, with and without Luka, let's just start there. I don't think I've given you that on stat views yet, which I definitely want to look at real quick, which is Kyrie with and without Luka this season. I like that they both have unique names, so I can just type those first names in and get what I need. Yeah, I mean, the minutes are going to be way up. The points obviously go up. He's got a 44-point game in there against the Knicks, too, which is going to help that average, though. And you look at the shot attempts, though, at 23, man. Like, it's a lot. Yeah, and the dimes, yeah, they're going to go up, too. I mean, he's just going to have the ball in his hands the whole time, right? Almost 2 more assists per game as well. What are the other stats at for our guy real quick, for Kyrie, in terms of assists? 6.5. That's a good amount. That's right at where he's at on average without Luka. The rebounds. I got Luka. No, I still have Luka on the court here, but let's do without Luka real quick. Taking Luka out of it. Yeah, the boards is a toss up. The assist is a toss up. Points feel like it might be something he's coming into at this point, honestly. And this team is a lot better on offense than they were the other times, which. You could look at it either way, but I don't know. He might get put in the torture chamber, right? Like Lou Dort coming in here with one of the best defensive ratings in the league individually. I got to imagine. Like, let's look at Lou Dort real quick and his individual defensive rating. If we go to players and we look at advanced, and let's dumb this down to the Thunder real quick. Okay, Sizzle. And we look at what they've got. Let me change this music up. My bad. And let me look at that real quick. Makes us listen to the same drum beat the whole time. All right. Individual defensive rating. These dudes don't play. Jalen kind of plays. Kenrich hasn't been playing at all this season. Not on the team anymore for Trey Mann. So, like, these are all backups. J-Dub is that dude, though. We know that 109.8 defensive rating. Okay, Lou Dort's hasn't been as good individually in terms of that defensive rating. But let me look real quick if these dudes have if the matchup for Kyrie when he played this team last real quick. So I got to go to the OKC Thunder to get their game log up. And I want to see who Kyrie's been going up against when he plays this squad, right? So let's look at them versus the Dallas Mavericks. Have they played this season? I know they played this season twice. Let's look. I believe Luka played in these games, but I can't remember 100%. Yeah, 146 to 111. You know Luka played in that one, right? Yeah, so let's look at, do we have tracking data? We have tracking data, so we can get the matchup for who was guarding Kyrie on offense. Let's put Kyrie on offense. He had J-Dub on him. That's not a good sign. That would be the dude that you would not necessarily feel great about being the one guarding him. Although, look at those numbers. 4 for 6 from the floor in those 4.8 minutes. So, like, not too bad against one of the better defenders in the league, honestly. And when Kason Wallace comes in, he's a dog on defense for sure. Already one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and he has barely been in the league. So if that were the case as well, you don't necessarily love the Kyrie stuff, but I mean, it's Kyrie going Kyrie, and he might be a little bit above. What's that? Let me see. Joe's got I was looking at this earlier, Joe, the SGA and Kyrie. How can we get them together? I was thinking about that too. My bad. Love Operations asked me about Dame threes. Let me get that to you real quick because I know you asked me a couple times. The thing about Kyrie, just to finish that point though, is there's going to be some really good defenders that can focus entirely upon him. So even if he gets the volume of minutes, I don't know that the shots are going to be there for him as much, right? How many shots did he take in this game before I just get off of it? He took field goal attempts down here. Well, just count it. 8, 11, 13, 15, 23 shots. That is so many damn shots. That was with Luka in there too. That's crazy, dog. I don't think he got the points though. There's no way he got 29 in that game, right? It was Luka that went off. He had 25 though. I mean, yeah, I think the thing about Kyrie is this is just not a great matchup for him. So I'm tempering that a little bit. Diego Pena, what's up, bro? I see you talking about Josh Hart. Let me get to that in 1 second. Kyrie is fasting, but game is at 10 p.m. He can eat after 7:30. Good info. Brian Andrews coming back with the good info, bro. Appreciate you. Probably fade him Sunday when it's a 3 p.m. game. That's crazy good info, y'all. I appreciate that insight there. That is very, very helpful for everything here, and a happy Ramadan to Kyrie. But yeah, he is going to be able to eat a little bit and get his all the fluids he wants in him as well once that time frame comes around. You said it's because it's a game is at 10 p.m. for him on the East Coast. Either way, yeah, we should be good there for him to at least be able to get some food and stuff in him, like you're saying. So that will probably okay. Who knows how that's going to impact him though? It's a stay away for me here. Honestly, either way, and it sounds like Sunday might be a good fade of Kyrie, although maybe he'll do some superhuman stuff. The next thing I said I was going to look at real quick was Dame threes, and then I'm going to get to those Josh Hart assists. So looking at Dame threes in this Milwaukee game, what are they at? You think 3.5? I'm assuming that's what they're at. Damian, why can't I find people these days? No, Dame threes. Yeah, 3.5 for plus money, eh? 4 that he needs to get. You can get plus 135 on BetMGM and PointsBet. You can get 2.5 for awful juice on DraftKings if you want to go minus 180. Let's look at what we think about Dame threes real quick. How many has he been pulling as of late? Let's just look at these last 10 real quick. If you look at how many, he's playing minutes. We know that. He only doesn't play when they get blown out or blow somebody out. Dame 9 3-point attempts over his last 10. I really don't like having to bank on people hitting 42-ish% of their threes to get that number right. That does make me a little bit nervous. 3.5 though, that's good juice for him to get the 4. How often has he done that lately? Looking at Philly as one of them, Charlotte, Clippers, Warriors, Lakers, Clippers, right? So let's look at these 3-point defenses real quick. Where is Dame? Well, we know where Dame's shooting from. He's shooting from above the break, right? Dame's not going. You don't put Dame Lillard in the corner. So what is that? What's the dancing? Dirty? Is that Dirty Dancing? You don't put Baby in the corner? Anyway, for all the old heads out there. Looking at Dame's 3.5 threes. If you look at the last 5, he's been going over, right? So that's a good sample size right there. The last 15, and this goes before. Honestly, since the break, he's been pretty much on one with the threes, right? And it's when he gets the attempts. So let's look at how this Philly team defends where Dame be shooting from. Team opponent shooting. Let's go to the zones. We know where Dame is shooting from. Above the break threes attempted against. We got the Celtics giving up the most. We know that. That's why we were even considering Maxey 4 threes. Really, you got to get to 5 threes for Maxey before you get the juice. But if you take Maxey 2 or 3 plus threes in as a parlay with some other stuff, I'm with it. I get that for sure. That's where I would lean for threes too. Maybe you gotta, you know what? Maybe we put a little 3-point prop together, parlay together with Tatum. We get a couple for Maxey. Let's look at what we think for Dame right quick. Even though he's not going to help us with the Philly's been pretty good against above the break threes in terms of limiting the attempts. What about the makes? I think they've been pretty good. I know they've been surprisingly good defending point guards up top, and they're not giving up a ton of makes at all, right? It's 8.5, 9 that they've been giving up. field goal percentage wise, they're really good. Fifth best at limiting those. Let's look at some of the point guards that have hit threes against this squad recently. Brunson, I mean, he got his threes, 4 of them, 3 from Miles McBride as well. So we know Philly was giving up a ton of threes the other game. Knicks went bonkers in that game. For a Knicks-Philly game, they went bonkers, I should say. Yeah, obviously before that was a nasty game for Brunson. Schroeder only got 1. That was another nasty game. Kyrie did get 5 and Luka 4. So I put Dame way more on the level of Luka and Kyrie than I would any of the other dudes. Except even Jalen Brunson. Yeah, honestly, 4 for plus money is starting to look like a pretty good bet as a single right there. Let's put that on the card, bro. I'm gonna put. I think that's the first thing I'm putting on the card here outside of the other bets that I got. So I'm gonna put Dame Lillard over 3.5 3 p.m. and we're gonna take that for. I feel you on this one. We're gonna take that for plus 135 on MGM if you got it. I don't know if I'll be able to get that on MGM or not. I'm just going to put it down for right now. As far as where I actually put this bet down in a minute, I'll have to see if I can get it on MGM and how much I can get it for on MGM, etc. So Dame Lillard over 3.5 plus threes. Let's go plus 135 MGM for now. Am I messing that up? No, plus 135 on MGM. I'll probably end up with 0.7 on it. We'll just we'll say a full one for right now. The thing is, I'm probably going to be adding Dame, and that's what I want to do real quick. Let's see how we do with that. I'm also going to just put up these other bets real quick that I got so I can just leave them on the screen and then add to them. DeMar DeRozan. Oh, no, I didn't put him down. My bad. Talking about Derek White. That was yesterday. Derek White, we're going to go over 4.5 assists. I hit that for minus 134 on FanDuel. And I put a full 1.3 units on it so I can get 1.34 so I could get exactly 1 unit back on my money. I really like that bet for Derek White. And then I told you about Jalen Green as well. I hit that for a full unit for him to get over 22.5 points. I might see what he looks like in some of these parlays as well. I think he's a good piece to get you want to put him for 20 plus, you want to just take his core line. If you wanted to take some alt stuff and get one of those lottos going, we could talk about that. But let me know what you think and I'll start adding stuff to this and you guys can let me know. But minus what did I get him for? I already forgot, my bad. For Jalen Green, I'll come back to that, but I believe it was minus 1. It was like a core minus 115. I'll just put that for right now. Minus 115. I don't remember where I took it. I'm going to look at it in 1 second. Please don't yell at me. And then we got the other one I already hit was I hit Tyrese, and I couldn't get away from it, bro. Tyrese Maxey over 26.5 points. I didn't have the stones, and I didn't want to eat the juice. I got it for minus 105 on FanDuel last night. So let me just add that real quick so you can see what I'm talking about here. For let me look at my sheet right quick. Brand, let me pull up these. For Jalen, we got minus 113 on FanDuel. We got minus 109 for Maxey. And we got minus 134 there for Derek White. So that's good by me. I am going to add the Dame threes. I like what we're talking about here. I like the idea of him just going, at least having the 9 attempts and then the 4 for plus money on maybe 10 attempts even is something that I think I like in this one. What we get scared about is the blowout as well. Hopefully this comes in the form of him getting his and not, Giannis getting all of it instead, right? Let me see real quick. Dame's threes. All right, so let me throw some of this together real quick, and I'm not gonna. Well, I can't even put it on from over here, but let me look at some of the 3 stuff I'm talking about now. So if I take, Maxey 2 threes is probably nothing, right? It's minus 525. So let me take Maxey to get his real quick. We'll get bank on him getting 3 threes. It's not a guarantee, and it's not my favorite part of this parlay either. So I'm not sure if I'm going to leave that in there or not. I would rather just put him in there for 2 threes, but it's not going to help us much, right? Like we said. The other thing I think we do throw Dame threes in there because it's so juicy. And if we're going to put a little bit on it anyway, let me get his 3-point prop. Just see what we're working on DraftKings. And I'll put this in a different one as well. You can still get those crappy odds for 2.5 threes for Dame. I mean, that's a great parlay piece, right? 2x there on the singles if you want, but you can't be parlayed. Fuck, Oh, it's the same game. I'm such an idiot. I forgot they were the same stupid game. All right, so we can't use both their threes in a different one. But in this game alone, if we took Maxey threes with Dame threes, let's see what we get. That's crazy that we can get 2.5 there. It's bad juice, but that might be the play in and of itself, yo. 3-pointers made. If we take 2.5 for Maxey, I mean, how do we feel about that? 2.5 for Maxey to get us to plus 142. Doesn't make my heart soar in any fashion, does it? You know, so I don't know quite as much about that one. If I was going to take something, though, because the Maxey threes are not a guarantee, bro. That is not a good number for him to have to hit 3 of them. I don't like it quite as much. I should like it more, but how much I talked about how much I like the points, right? Like that's going to be where he's shooting from. It's just like I said, when I just keep looking back at that number for Tyrese Maxey's 3-point percentage with and without Embiid this season, it's just so different. Like 40% on 8.5 attempts versus 34.7% on 7.7 attempts. It's just not a good bet, honestly, right? How many times has he gotten that? Tyrese Maxey, let's see, without Embiid, and give us his game log. How many times has he made 3 threes? A decent amount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You can just do this much more easily over here. If we look at Maxey's, he's hit it 12 times in how many games without JoJo? Let's see real quick. Without Embiid, we're talking about not a bad percentage. I should give him a little bit more credit. I shouldn't be trashing him so much. It's just not good juice, man. Like we lost so much steam on that at minus 160. I hate taking a bet that I don't feel that good about for minus 160. That's what it comes down to. I'm gonna trust myself on that. It might hit, it might not, but if it does hit, it's in my opinion less likely, and it's not worth it at minus 160. If I could even get like minus 115, even minus 120 for him to hit 3 and go, all right, if he takes 8 of them, he's got to hit 3 of them. Not a bad bet. That is still around the 34. What's 3 divided by 8? It's 38%, and that's not where he's at, right? Like that's not what we're saying here, right? Without him, the 3-point percentage for Max, he's at 34.5%. So it's still just not high enough for me to feel good about it. You can feel better if you like the fact that this team is so terrible in terms of the Bucks against the above the break stuff. Then go for it. I feel that, but let's see Dame and his threes taking that, because 3 for Dame at the same odds as Maxey is stupid. You see what I'm saying? Like, who do you think is more likely to hit 3 threes tonight between Maxey and Dame Lillard? That's not even a question. So with that in mind, let's try to use Dame in something different. Let's go back to the Tatum threes, because my guy, Cup of Joe, did put that out there, and I like that idea for Tatum threes because of what we've seen. What I was saying for that action is Tatum without Kristaps Porzingis is going to be the screen man, not the ball handler in the pick and roll that the Celtics are going to run as mostly the only set offense that they run. They don't really have plays outside of that. It's like, yo, give it to one of the 2 best ISO players in the league on the wing, or, let's run some stuff for the pick and roll to get shooters open, but the lane stays clear is the point. So when you run the pick and roll and you have your other guys on the outside so that the lane stays clear for these guys, especially without Kristaps in there, you're going to see Al Horford in the corner. What about Al Horford threes? You're going to see Al Horford in the corner. Oh, he's got to hit 2, though. And so I don't love that. Without Kristaps, though, how many 3-point attempts has he taken a game? I hate having to bank on Al Horford threes. Do y'all know what I mean? Like, is there anything worse than having Al Horford threes in a parlay and being like, yo, for real, like, is he going to miss all of them, right? It's not something I feel great about. Let me get off that. For Tatum threes, if we're talking about him, and he's got to make 4 of them as well, right? So the books are onto that as well in terms of, like, he's going to be a little bit more of a 3-point shooter, because as the roll man, as I was interrupting myself, as the roll man, not the ball handler, he's a lot more likely to be popping out for Derek White to hit him for a 3-point shot. So I do want to look at, I see Waffles plays games. Shout out my maybe my fellow Belgian. I don't know. I'm half Belgian there, so like that might be where you're coming from with the Waffles. I don't know. Either way, I feel a connection to you, bro. And then yeah, what were you talking about there, Dr. Can you tell me if it's Richa or Recha, please? I believe it's Richa, but let me know. I don't want to mispronounce your name. If you could just put the phrasing there in the comments, because I see you following along all the time, and I want to make sure I give you the respect of saying your name correctly. But tell me what you mean by Dame. The stuff here for to finish this point up about Tatum. Let's see what it is to add him to this parlay with some threes. If we look at Tatum threes, if I don't want to take him at 4 of them, do I want to take him at an alt of 3 of them? plus 128 for both these dudes to get 3 threes made. That feels pretty good, doesn't it? We could probably add some stuff to that too. Let me look at, you probably saw I took Jalen Green in this game. Let me see if I put like Jalen Green 20 points on that and what that does for us. Because Jalen Green is at 22.5, and I do feel good about that, but I'm going to keep betting on him. He's at 23.5 now. So let me see what his alt stuff is, because I like this one as well. Yeah, 20 is not going to get as much juice there. But we do get to plus 193. It's a 3 picker, and I don't know how I feel about that. I have to break those odds down a bit more to see how I mean, we're getting awful juice on these bets, obviously, but shoot, I mean, you like that alone, I'm with it. Resha, thank you. I appreciate it. All right, cool. So anyway, back to this one. I think this is where I lean right here. If you like all 3 of these things together, plus 193 ain't bad. I would definitely shop that on other books if you can get that same play. But that might not be a bad bet there that I put together as well. Let's put that on the card. I gotta start texting people. We gotta dip here in a minute so I can get some bets down. But let me put that on the card as well so that I'm not lying to you folks. I do want to get this. We got Tyrese out there. We took the Dame threes. So what I added here, let me be very clear about what I added. Let me do original card. And then mix this up real quick. All right, I'm going to show you guys before we get out of here in a minute. I'm going to show you the updated card. And then I'll show you the other card. So Jalen Green we do have on the original card over here. And then we also, those are the only 2 plays that I put in last night. So I can say that this was the original card. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, for Tyrese Maxey to go over his points. I only put a half a unit on it. I had to get some action. Like, all these stats are staring me in the face about how bad Milwaukee is at stopping exactly what dude does. So I couldn't get to it, but I couldn't stay away from it is what I'm trying to say. As far as the updated stuff on the card as well, I'm going to show you that once I add this parlay that we're putting together, because I do like what we have up on the screen. And this might even be good as, I doubt you can round robin all that, right? Yeah, it won't let you round robin those 3 things. But as far as the parlay goes, I think it's worth it to hit it with and without the Jalen Green points. As far as the threes go, it's just a little, I like when you get that clean, those parlays, right? So let's do Damian Lillard 3+ threes with my bad, y'all, with Jason Tatum 3+ 3 p.m. And if there's anything else anybody wants to know before we end this stream, let me know. I owe you Josh Hart. That's what I got you. And then I think I got to end it there. Jason Tatum 3+ threes. If we leave that by itself, we get plus 128. And I'm going to update this in the comments of this video as well when I post it here in a minute. Plus 128 on the on DK, but I want to know if I can get better juice there. Put a half a unit on that one. That's going to be how that goes. And then I am going to add the Jalen Green 20 points, because that is one of my more confident bets of the day, I should say. And so I want to get him in there as well. Dame, and then let's do Lillard 3+ threes, Tatum 3+ threes, and Green 20+ points. Updated card. Let me see where I can take some of this away. All right, and that gets you plus 196, by the way. Let me put Derek White on the other one real quick and get this card out to you, and we look at those. Just want you guys to be able to know exactly what's coming, so that later when I'm putting up these, when I put up the records and stuff, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? All right. So original card, those 3 bets came out in the projection videos that come out each night the night before, with best bets when I can get them in there if we do get the player prop lines out, plus the leans that I have looking into today. We were leaning on Derek White assist last night. We've hit it already, so that's up now, as well as the Jalen Green over 22.5 points. A couple things we added in this card on the live stream: Dame Lillard over 3.5 threes made, Dame Lillard 3 threes, Jason Tatum 3 threes, and then that's one parlay for plus 128, and then Lillard threes, Tatum threes, and Jalen Green 20+ points as well, because that is one of my favorite bets of the day. So we added that to the card. So what I want to look at real quick is Josh Hart assists. It's really hard to be able to like look at how the Portland Trailblazers are going to play against him tonight, because I don't know who's going to even play for them, right? And so that's going to be a little bit of a problem for me to understand like how he's going to do in this one. My bad. Come on now. So what I would look at for Hart is really like, why did that happen last night? Why did he get so many dimes last night compared to like what he's normally doing? He's gone over pretty consistently, and the rebounds are still going to be the same. I believe he's up at 18, 19 rebound chances per game. So he is a dude who keeps going absolutely bonkers for them. You do have to consider Isaiah Hartenstein's minutes for a minute and look at those, because he and Precious have at times eaten into Josh Hart's rebound chances. If you look at Hartenstein and his minutes last night, or 2 nights ago rather, excuse me, he got 5 boards in just 20 minutes. They did blow him out. There was no reason to keep him in there because he's been hurt. We could be looking at the same situation. Like, Josh Hart doesn't come out. It doesn't matter if they're up by 50. Josh Hart's in at the end of the game. 42.8 minutes. Like, this dude has played 40 minutes in 9 of the last 10 games. Are you kidding me? Tibbs is a monster. He should be thrown in jail for the way that he runs these dudes into the ground. Josh Hart doesn't deserve this. I know you could have sat him for more minutes over the course of the last 10 games. That said, it always makes him a good bet as a result of that. If you're just on the floor for 42 minutes, you should have like 10 rebound chances at least, right? So let's just look at Josh Hart's rebound chances as of late. I know it's been good because of the fact that he's been getting them. And honestly, he doesn't have that high of a rebound chance percentage, I don't believe. Let's look at these last 10 for him where he's been going cuckoo bananas with these rebounding numbers. If you look at the rebound chances for these New York Knickerbockers, and anybody who wants to know why I'm a Knicks fan and I live on the West Coast, it's because I'm from Brooklyn. Somebody said I was from Jersey, and that was just plain wrong. I tried to not take that as an insult that someone thought I was from Jersey, but come on now. We're looking at Josh rebounds real quick. My namesake over his last 10. Sheesh, 20 rebound chances per contest at 12 boards. So why would you have this at 9.5? Why is that so stinky? It's like way too stinky. Let's put Josh Hart into this into the courtside pal real quick. And if I like take forever with my ADD to like get to the bets that you guys put out here, please just let me know, because like I said, like ADD, right? Like I need some help. Joe, I knew I lied. Obviously you're from Brooklyn, Joe. That's why I fuck with you. Rebounds here, we got we're looking at the Los Blazers. Yeah, they give up the 9th most to Josh Hart. You could put some some revenge love in there as well. This gives me another chance to shout out my buddy's incoming website called revengestats.com. He'll be up there soon. Still tweaking it just a little bit, but that's going to be a fire site. So you can literally go look at stuff like revenge. Why? Like, is this a coach that played against them? Is this a player that used to play with them? The whole stuff like, did he used to play with this dude on a different team for revenge, right? Like, so there's all kinds of narratives that he's always looking at that's like, actually, I think helpful information. I think these dudes care about that in the pettiness that is the NBA, right? All right, so for Hart though, like, bro, I mean, rebounds, yes. Just what do you want me to say? Like, yes to rebounds. I don't even want to go to Fantasy Pros because I don't know what you consider Josh Hart. I guess you could call him a small forward more than anything. What does Props.cash list him as? Small forward. That's one that I agree with them on. We were trying to see who's even going to play once I got distracted talking about Jeremy Grant. I don't know if he's going to be in or not. This doesn't matter. I just want to see who would even play for this squad tonight, bro. Like we had some injuries come up that people were telling me about that they had from this Portland Trailblazers game. Wasn't there somebody who was talking about people being in? I believe we were talking about was it Chris Peterson, because he's from around there. Someone was talking about the players who we know are in or out tonight for that squad. The Bull Corps took Jabari Smith. Okay, so you got some still like 27.5 for Jabari Smith, double. I'm thinking of Jabari Walker. My bad. I thought you were talking about the Blazers. All right, I can't go back through all of these, but I do think Yeah, if you want to look at the assist for Josh Hart before we push off this, because I can't predict who's going to play for this freaking team, bro. Like, even if DeAndre Ayton was available tonight, what if he doesn't play? I mean, I think he's the only one with props up, for that team. So maybe he's the only dude. Simons, I think, is even questionable at this point. So, like, I have no idea. Once again, the thing about Josh Hart is I just don't think it matters if who plays for Portland. Like, Josh Hart will be out there is kind of how I put this one. So for Hart, assists, playmaking stuff for him against Portland. I believe Portland's pretty good at limiting assists in general, aren't they? Yeah, I mean, to his position, 19th fewest that they allow, or 11th fewest, whatever that is. And then you look at the fantasy pros, if you do want to call him a small forward. As far as the rebounds go, you can say what you want about Portland. I don't really care about that. For assists, I also don't really care about this, to be honest. I'm not putting as much stock in that. And they're middle of the pack, but I don't necessarily care about that. And I don't think that's like strong data. This is a little stronger, the 19th in terms of the assists. Let's look at how the volume of potential assists for our guy real quick, and look at passing stats for him last 10, and make it the New York, my Knicks right here. Potential assists. I mean, damn. Dae leading the team. That's bonkers. Does he do a lot better without JB in there? Josh Hart with and without Brunson this season. I mean, his assists go up without JB, so that's a little bit nerve-wracking right there to add the assist to it. I know he got 10 last game. He's been getting over this pretty consistently. Let's put Brunson in there. I know he missed a couple games, right? So with Brunson, and I don't even think OG is going to eat into his usage. So I don't even know if we need to worry about OG, to be honest with you. With Brunson, he still hit this in 6 of the last 10. And if you look at since the break, it's a pretty good number. 5 of the last 7. Getting 6 a couple times. Not bad juice there. And those potential assists are up. So I'm starting to like the RA as well, for real. Like, it's going to be high. It's like he either explodes past it or he doesn't. And honestly, thing that's weird here, I can do I think I can do secondary stat, can I, on here, so I can see. Let me go to assists real quick. All right, whatever, either way, for assists, do we still have Brunson selected? Yeah, with Brunson. Rebounds with Brunson, that isn't going to be affected, really. It's just about that. I mean, the rebounds I love. The rebounds and assists I actually like too, honestly. It seems like a lot because he hasn't gone over it a couple times. Like against Philly, what was the problem against Philly? Only had 2 assists, right? The assists could come and go to that extent, and the rebounds seem like something with the amount of chances that he's got that could be there. I know the potential assists have been pretty high for him as well when you look over here, but at the same time, like, yeah, I'm much more confident about just the rebounds if you're asking me to be completely honest. So, yeah, for sure, Diego talking about Jeremy Grant. Yeah, but Josh Hart playing his old team too. There's a bit of revenge there. That's what Chris Peterson had to say, and I don't hate it. So the only other thing I want to show y'all before I dip here, because we got some of that stuff out of the way, was what about Giannis? We haven't talked about Giannis. One person asked me about Giannis, and like, what about Giannis and his rebounds? It's kind of what I'm wondering. What we know about this Philly team is that they do not rebound the basketball, period. You're probably going to be getting some more Mo Bamba, to be honest, as well, with the amount of bigs that Milwaukee can throw at this team. I wonder if Mo Bamba might be in line for a few more minutes, because it's terrifying to think about who is supposed to build a wall to stop Giannis Antetokounmpo. And we got him at 12.5 now. Damn, I was trying to find him at 11.5, and you can only get 11.5 now at PointsBet. So that is something that I was trying to look at earlier. I didn't get to it in time, and now that stuff got juiced all the way up, right? And it's up now to 12.5 boards. So for Giannis Antetokounmpo, rebounds, last 10 hasn't been doing it, but there are some blowouts in there, like that Golden State Warriors game that he didn't even play the third. They blew out the Hornets, so there's not really much to take away from that. And Philly, he had 12 of them last time. What's his minutes been at? I mean, still playing 35 a game. Didn't have to play much against Charlotte at all. Philly played 36 minutes and got 12 boards. So, like, it is a little bit nerve-wracking there. But the thing is like, isn't this such a bounce-back spot for this Milwaukee Bucks squad? Like, if you look at the Bucks for the last Milwaukee Bucks last 10 games, and just look at their last little bit. This is a nasty schedule, and we actually knew this. I'm pretty sure it was talked about that after the All-Star break they're gonna have the 5th hardest strength of schedule, or at least top 5 hardest strength of schedule, outside of the cupcakes that they got with Charlotte. And to be fair, with this Philly team they're playing tonight, they got some nasty teams that they had to play. I mean, they beat the Clippers twice, good for them, and lost to the to the Lakers, the Dubs, and the Kings. They had a rough stretch there against those LA teams or the California teams in Cali. They did get that nice win against Chicago and just handle Charlotte with just a little brother basically, and Philly. But that win against Minnesota was impressive because of it's another difficult win. So I think this is a game where they come back and they go finally we get to play a team that sucks again, and they kind of lay the wood. You know what I mean? So that doesn't necessarily make me feel great about Giannis and needing to get props. If anything, it's the points, but we know that's going to be stupid high, right? If you look at the points for him, I was a lot more willing to take this at 11.5 is really what I'm trying to tell you guys. The points at 31.5, yeah, he could easily do it, but if he doesn't need to play much in the 4th, I think the blowout factor comes into play. So I'm not going to add any Giannis stuff to the card. I am going to end it there with you guys. I appreciate everybody jumping in and following along. Here's the updated card at the bottom. But yeah, Joe, to finish your question, the blowout potential is honestly, I'm assuming Chris Peterson was also considering that when he took under 52.5 PRA for Giannis against a team that doesn't have a big man, right? So I'm on that page of you got to be wary of that. Continue to follow along if you would and subscribe to the page. It's super helpful. Throw those likes in there as well. We're going to be coming back tomorrow to finish up the week with these live streams as we're trying to do each and every weekday. I might try to get some on the weekends. I'm sure there's going to be a few more people available. So if I get some feedback that we'd like to get it on the weekends as well, I am going to have videos out for those weekend games so that I bring out my player props and best bets for those I do each and every night. The night before, update the card here with you guys live. So until I see y'all next, happy betting.